2, welcome back. Not much has changed. We've got new kits, as you can see here, lovely kits with the sponsor neck and neck, and for anyone who's seen the stadium visits, you'll know what that means. And also the Kappa kit sponsor, you'll get it. If you've watched the stadium visits, you'll get it, and if you haven't watched the stadium visits, what are you waiting for? Go and watch them. I do intend to do more stadium visits. I have to be honest, I haven't had the time, but I do want to do more. There's other things I want to do as well, actually. I mean, now's not the time or the place to get into it, because today is a season preview, but there are other things I want to do. Things that are not necessarily play-along saves, things that are just interesting snippets about Football Manager. So maybe we'll see those in the near future. But for now, the main thing is to get on and tell you what has happened in the pre-season. So, obviously, we won La Liga last season. First season with Atletico Madrid. And in fact, I should probably point out to start with that I am still with Atletico Madrid. There was a little bit of uncertainty towards the end of last season, and in the last episode you will have seen I was kind of flirting with the idea of potentially moving club. And it's not that I don't enjoy managing Atletico Madrid, it's more from the perspective of playing Football Manager. I like to give myself a little bit of a challenge. Shock, who would have guessed it? You pick a team that are one of the top 3 in the country, they've got really good players in place already, and you do well. Surprise, nobody expected that, did they? So, yeah, I mean, I did think it would be a little bit more difficult, because I thought Real would challenge a bit more, and Barcelona potentially put up even more of a fight. Well, this is my plan. I'm going to give it another season. Minimum, I'm going to give it one more season, this season. If it all takes off and I start feeling it and it starts feeling good, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go for the Champions League, and I'm going to go for La Liga, and if I can get both of those, what's going to happen is I'm either going to win a lot and walk away champion of the world, or I'm going to totally fuck up and I'm going to get sacked anyway. I have to be honest, I've started the season already. Usually what I like to do is the first game of a new season I like to put on the channel, but in this case I just got bored and I couldn't wait. I wanted to play the game. So I moved forward and I have played a few games, and we'll get onto that next episode and I'll fill you in on where we are and everything then. So for now, I'm just going to give you a rundown of what's happened in the pre-season, and I'm not going to tell you anything about what's happened in La Liga so far. We could have lost every single game. We could have won every single game, but you won't know until next episode. You've got to keep some suspense, you know? Keep you mean, no? Treat you mean, keep you keen. That's my aim. So here we are in the transfer centre. The first thing to point out is that there's not been much happening. There's not been, well, in fact, let's have a look at who we've brought in. Not very exciting, is it? We've brought no one in, but we didn't need to bring anyone in, really. I'll get into this in more detail in a minute, but we have had a few players not leave, but are interested in leaving, and we've sent a lot of players out on loan, but they're mainly youth prospects. So the majority of our transfer budget this season was eaten up with Alvaro Morata, and that is because he essentially last season was on loan for us from Chelsea, with a view to buying him for 55 million this season. And what's happened is that 55 million has gone straight out of my transfer budget, and this is the season after we already spent 125 million on João Felix. So understandably the board are not particularly interested in giving us much money, and they haven't. A lot of players have wanted or have demanded new contracts, and I don't want to upset the kind of the balance, the equilibrium of the squad, so I've given loads of people loads of money, and as a result we're over our wage bill, which is annoying. We've got a wage budget, look, transfer budget 0, our wage budget is 2,821,000, and we're currently spending 3 million. So yeah, we're a bit over. I've been looking to get rid of a few players in order to kind of cope with that, because if we look at the club vision, I hope this doesn't reveal anything about the season so far, but essentially work within the wage budget. It says we're struggling at the moment. They're very worried about that, and I don't want to disappoint the board, as you know. So I'm going to look to try and get rid of a few players in the coming weeks. The two that I've been looking at mainly are Vitolo, because he is on an insane amount of money, £205 a week. Wow. 205,000 euros a week. Jesus wept. And then we've also got Nikola Kalinic, who's come back off a loan from last season. And he's kind of, it says here, is surplus to requirements. And he is really, he's 32 years old. He's got a few clubs interested in him. And at the moment, he's on 95k a week. So if we can get rid of both of those, we start to deal with that overspending wage budget quite significantly. Very quickly, I'll just touch on these as well. These are the outs, and this is just essentially a load of youngsters all going out on loan. There's a couple that I'm a little bit annoyed with. The first is Nehuen Perez. He was out on loan with someone last season, and basically he came back in, and he's a young wonder kid, exciting prospect, central defender, and we need central defenders. And unfortunately, he's Argentinian, which means he classes as a non-EU player, essentially, and we've already filled our non-EU quota in the squad. I had hoped that he would be able to come in and step in as a backup defender, along with Pau Torres, but it seems like that's not going to happen this season, so he's gone back out on loan because I want to further his career, and he's on loan at San Lorenzo at the moment. Hopefully he's going to do well. Boca Juniors came in for him as well, actually, on loan, and he turned them down and decided to go to San Lorenzo instead, so, fair play, do what you will, sir. The only other youngster to really note, a lot of these could potentially turn into something, but the only other one to note is this Remus Mihai. He's not massively highly rated, but he's been doing really well. When you go into this dev center down here, you can see who's doing well and who's not. He's one to watch here, and it says he could be as good as Diego Costa potentially in the future. So he's one that, we'll keep an eye on, and he's out on loan at Ejido at the moment, whoever they are. And that is literally it for the transfers. So that's not exciting at all, is it? But let me explain, because here's the thing. This is the philosophy for this season. We didn't have the money to bring anyone in, and I didn't want to bring anyone in. I didn't want to bring a youngster in unless they were going to be a wonder kid, a world beater, and we didn't have the money for that. I didn't want to bring an old head in if we had to pay them a huge amount of wages. So that wasn't going to happen either. Actually, James Rodriguez became available on a free, but he wanted so much in wages that it was just like, what's the point? And also, we're quite stacked at kind of central midfield anyway, and we don't actually play an attacking midfielder, which is where he would prefer to play. So it seemed a bit pointless to bring him in the end. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and stick with the squad that we had from last season. We've promoted a couple of youngsters, and we've also got a couple of people back from loan. Now, I just mentioned Nikola Kalinic, who is hopefully going to be leaving to free up some wage bill, but he is around if we need him as cover for a striker. So that's one. The players that we've promoted are, we have Axel Werner as a goalkeeper here, 24 years old. He's come in from the under 21s team, under 21s, under 22s, whichever one it is. He's a pretty damn good goalkeeper, in fact, but he's our third choice emergency backup goalkeeper at the moment. Quite good attributes considering his third choice there, because our second choice is Antonio Adan, and he's good as well. We are extremely thin in central defence. Essentially, we've got Felipe and Jimenez are our starting centre-backs. Other than that, we've got Pau Torres. We've got Hermoso as well. He can play there. Hermoso is ideally a left wing back or left full back, but he can play there. And in theory, so can Kieran Trippier and so can Arias. I wouldn't like to play them there. Partey can at a push can play there as well, but we don't want to have to be resorting to this, and it might be that I have to raid the youth squad if anything happens to anyone. But it is very worrying the amount of options that we have at central defence. If either of those two, Felipe or Jimenez, get injured, then we do have an issue, because there is quite a considerable difference between those two best players and the second choices that we have available. In fact, it might make more sense if we look at this in the team report squad depth page. This is going to make more sense. So look, yeah, there you can see we've got Perez there as well, but he's out on loan. So essentially we've got Jimenez, Felipe, Torres and Hermoso at a push. Left back, we've got Lodi. Hermoso is probably going to be, one of those will be the starter. And then we've got this Chao Enrique, who we met last season. He's a youngster. I've been playing him in some of the preseason games and he's done really well, actually. He likes to attack. He's a very attacking player, and I've been playing him as a complete wing back, actually, and he really enjoyed that. Although we were only playing Korean teams at the time, so I don't know how he would fare against the likes of someone like Barcelona in that position, for example. On the right wing, we have Trippier and Arias, both very good players. Ideally, I would like to have somebody else there, but we just don't have it. Across the whole of midfield, I'm pretty comfortable. I feel pretty comfortable with this. Koke and Saul as the two central midfielders. And it seems a shame because we do also have Herrera and Llorente, who I love, and Partey, who, I'm quite partial to a Partey. You can't not start Koke and Saul, can you? And then similarly on the wings, you can't not start Lamar with the form that he's in game, not real life, because he's shit in real life at the moment. And Correa on the other wing, who, although he does a few little things that disappoint me, when I did look at him in a little bit more detail and started to think, should I sell him, should I not? I started to think, well, am I going to get a player as good as him if I sell him? It's unlikely. It will be very difficult to find someone as good as him. So he's going to stay, and I'm going to maybe try a few little things with some training with him, try and maybe give him some extra traits or remove some traits or do something like that with him. I haven't decided yet. So yeah, also on the right, if needs be, Saul can cover Correa. We've also got Vitolo, who might be going, but you never know. We might keep hold of him. He might go if anybody can afford his wages. In fact, Tottenham came in for him, and I agreed a fee with them for 35 million, and then Tottenham didn't want to pay his wages. So yeah, it looks like he might be staying with us for a little while. And then the other person to note is Victor Mollejo, and he is a youngster, 19 years old. He's actually been playing for Atleti first team in real life a little bit. I know I said in real life then. That's how much I've been playing Spanish football on FM. So yeah, he's been playing for them a little bit in real life. He's got good potential ability there, could turn into something. It needs a little bit of work. He needs some match time, I think. So he's in there, and if we're winning a match comfortably, I might give him some game time. Or if somebody gets injured, he might be forced to come in and start anyway. Describes him as a striker here, but I'm thinking of him more as a right or a left attacking midfielder. But yeah, we'll see how he does over the course of the season. Doesn't look 19, does he? Looks about 800 years old. Looks like some kind of crazy vampire. On the left wing, we could Koke can cover again. So in theory, we could end up with Koke on one wing, Saul on the other, and then Herrera and Llorente in the middle anyway, if our wingers all get injured. But we also do have German Valera, and I promised I'd get a picture of him. I have got a picture of him. Again, he looks about 3 years old. But again, he's someone that could improve a little bit further. You would think that Atletico Madrid potentially had some better youth prospects than these. But when you look at the position, the attributes for the position of attacker, they're all okay with the exception of potentially anticipation. The rest are all okay. So he can do that role. We're not going to reinvent the wheel with him. We're not going to try and push him into centre midfield or anything like that. But he can play as a left winger if we need him to, and that's good enough for now. And then up front, we've got, it's wrong to say it's a bit of an issue, because it's not an issue to have the two of La Liga's top scorers, Diego Costa and Alvaro Morata, who were the joint top scorers last season. We also have Kalinic, who I've mentioned on several occasions. I won't go into him anymore. And then we have João Felix. And João Felix is a difficult one. It's hard to know what to do with him, because really, he likes to play as an attacking midfielder in the centre. He can play up front, but I do see him as more of an attacking midfielder up there in the centre. 19 flair. You see, usually if I had a player with 19 flair in my team, they'd be the first name on the squad sheet, on the team sheet. Get in there, you're my fucking number one star guy. But in this case, it's like I just can't quite squeeze him in anywhere. It's like, how do you leave? You can't leave Costa or Morata out. So it might be a case of just I need to start integrating him this season, I think, because otherwise he's going to get pissed off. The fans are going to get pissed off. The board's going to get pissed off. And, it's not, we can't justify 180 grand a week for a player that's not playing. So he needs to start getting in there, and he's good enough to do it. So, we'll try and get him in there a little bit more. And then the other promotion from the youth squad is this guy, Borja Garces. Garces? I don't know how you say it. Youngish, 21. But again, when you look at the attributes for his role, here we've got him as advanced forward attack. He probably wouldn't play in that In fact, what would he be playing as? Maybe pressing forward on support. Not quite as good on pressing forward for support, but we can train him up. We're going to get him training on some specific stuff, and hopefully he'll improve. He's got a 3-star potential ability. He could be okay. He's good cover, essentially. Or he's not good cover, but he is cover, essentially. So that's the kind of the squad depth. It's not, if we start to get some big injuries, we're going to be in deep shit. However, I have also strengthened my staff, so I've fucking just sacked off shitloads of my staff, basically. And we now have, look at our coaching staff. Highest average in La Liga at everything. Highest average in La Liga recruitment team, apart from judging whatever this is, player data and presenting data. But also our medical staff are fucking amazing. We've got no doctor at the moment, which is a bit annoying. But our medical staff are really, really good. So I'm hoping that our physios, in fact, should we see which ones? Should we have a look at our physios? No, that's boring, isn't it? Let's not look at our physios. I can assure you that our physios have very, very high attributes for physiotherapy. I think it's like they're 19 or 20. All of them are 19 or 20. Compared to the rest of the Liga, goalkeepers were pretty much the best. Defence, we've got a few issues with tackling, which is not great for defence, is it? We're below average in tackling, surprisingly, but it's not surprising. I think that's just due to the amount of defenders we've got. We don't have a lot of defenders. If I brought in another brilliant defender, then maybe that would change. Midfield, we're pretty comfortable. Attack, we're okay. We are, low on finishing again. But again, I think that's because essentially we've got 3 main strikers and the youngster. Good physical, good mentals, good technical. And we know really that in terms of La Liga, we are certainly one of the top 3 teams, and potentially, if last season is anything to go by, the best team in La Liga. But what about Europe? Because this season what I want to do is win the Liga and have a go at the Champions League. Well, as I mentioned, we're already a little way into the season at the moment. So I can officially reveal that the Champions League group stages, the groups have been drawn. And our group, down here, Group E, is fucking shit. We've got Ajax, AC Milan and Porto. That's a pretty tough group, isn't it? We didn't get one of the stragglers. We didn't get like Copenhagen or fucking Victoria Pilsen, whatever they're called, Pilsner. No, we got Ajax, Milan and Porto. And that is going to be tough. But at some point we've got to beat the best teams. So why not start off against the likes of these guys and see where we get to? Last season we had Liverpool. That was difficult. That was very difficult. We got battered. The board still want us to get to quarterfinals. So, same as last season. If we can get to quarterfinals, I suppose that's okay. I would like to go further. So, what's happened in the pre-season friendlies? Well, we went to Korea and we beat Gyeongnam 4-1, Jeju 5-0, and Pohang 2-0. Great. Then we played Napoli. It was a fairly tough game, actually, but again, we won that 2-1. So basically, we're undefeated going into La Liga against Villarreal for the first game. And next episode, you'll find out how we did against Villarreal. So that's it for now. We're ready. We're ready for La Liga. Not been much change at all. We're ready to go, and this is it now. We'll try and win the second season. So the goals for this season are we're going to be looking to win the Liga and win the Champions League. What could be more simple?